Welcome to day 19 of our craft along countdown to Christmas. Today we're going to be using these little paper mache cones and we're going to be turning them into beautiful crafts. So we're going to start by making a wood bead paper mache Christmas tree. And what we need is one of these little paper mache cones. We need wooden beads, probably around 30 to 40. We're going to use a hot glue gun, and I'm just going to start by gluing beads around the bottom of my paper mache cone. So you just put a little bit of hot glue on the bead and then press it onto the tree. You can put a little glue in between the beads as well. And you're just going to go all the way around to make your first row of beads. And you're just going to continue that up the cone, but the next set of beads, you're just going to put the bead in between the two beads that are underneath it, just so you're filling in kind of as many of the gaps as possible. And then just keep hot gluing the beads on the tree all the way up to the top of your Christmas tree. And then you're going to just put a little bead on the very tip of it. And that is really all there is to making these cute little trees. Now, if you want to turn this into an ornament, you can stop right before you get up to the top of your tree. Tie a piece of twine that you can use as a loop for an ornament. And then just fill in the beads on top of it. I'm just using this little tree on my table. I'm not going to use it as an ornament. So I'm just taking my beads and going all the way up to the top, as I mentioned. And then on the underside of my cone, I am going to cut a piece of felt that's the same size as that opening and just hot glue that over the opening underneath the tree just to give it a completed look, and you won't really realize that it is just a paper mache cone. The next craft we're going to be making is a pine cone paper mache Christmas tree. And this is very similar to the last craft we did. Instead of the wooden beads, we're going to be using mini pine cones. And I found these mini pine cones outside by a park near our house. But you can get mini pine cones at the Dollar Tree or craft stores. And you're just going to want to glue them around the base of the tree. And then as you move up the cone, just use some variation in where you're placing them. So if you have two cones below, just put the next cone in between the two below it, and so on. And just keep doing that all the way up your paper mache cone. And the nice thing about these paper mache cones that I'm using, they're really small, and so it doesn't take too long to fill up the entire cone. You could also do this on a larger paper mache tree with larger pine cones, but this little one with the mini ones is a real fun craft, and it really doesn't take very long to do. And similar to the previous craft, you can tie a piece of twine around the tree towards the top to make it into an ornament. But again, mine is just going to sit on the table, so I'm just going to use pine cones all the way up to the very tip of my tree, and at the very tip, I will just hot glue one pine cone facing towards the ceiling. And here is the beaded tree and the little pine cone tree together. They are looking super cute, and that's two of our crafts. Now we're going to move on to the next one, which is going to be a gnome paper mache cone, and this is going to be fairly simple. There is a little pattern down below where you could make this little gnome hat. Otherwise, just take fabric and hot glue it around the top of your cone to get a little hat for your gnome. There is, like I mentioned, a pattern below, but otherwise just cut out a piece of fabric that would cover the little cone, and then cut out a triangle for our gnome's beard. Hot glue that onto the bottom portion of the cone, and then just hot glue a wooden nose right where the hat and the beard meet. And then you have a cute little gnome ornament, and you can use twine at the top of it as well. I did add a little snowflake on his hat for an embellishment, so you can embellish him however you want. And then our next craft is a yarn paper mache tree. So we're just going to take some chunky yarn, hot glue it onto the base of our paper mache cone, and then we're just going to twist our yarn around the little cone and hot glue it as we go all the way up to the tip of our paper mache cone. So I do have a tutorial for larger paper mache cones, and I'll link that down below. But this is a very similar concept. You're just taking your yarn, wrapping it around the cone, and then hot gluing it every so often as you go. Okay, so I'm just going to cut off my chunky yarn on the top and then just hot glue it into place. So just cut off your excess yarn when you get to the tip. And then we're going to embellish these little trees with a wooden star at the top of it and then some buttons on the sides. And then I am going to turn this into an ornament. Tie a piece of twine around the top of the tree and then loop that so I can use it as a ornament. And then I'm just going to hot glue a circle of felt around the bottom of my ornament. And that's all there is to making these really cute little chunky yarn Christmas trees. So here's what we have so far. And this is my little chunky yarn ornament on my tree with the buttons and then the wooden star on top. And then the last craft we're going to be doing is this angel paper mache ornament. So to make my angel, I'm going to first cover the cone with a white fabric. And again, you can use the little gnome hat pattern to cover the cone, and that's posted down below. It's a little shorter than the length of the whole cone though, so you want to add a couple inches if you want to make it completely covered. I'm actually just going to take some lace and I'm going to hot glue it onto the bottom of the cone where the fabric ends here, and this will kind of hide some of that extra space I have on the cone and the imperfection. And then I'm going to hot glue my head on, so I have this white felt ball. Just going to glue that on top. You can obviously use different colors of heads, but this one I had on hand already, so I'm just going to use that for my angel's head. And then I'll finish gluing the trim on the bottom of the dress. Now I'm also going to add a little bit of trim around my angel's neck. It'll just hide some of that awkwardness that I have where the neck meets the head. It's a little bit rough, so this little lace will help hide some of that imperfection up there as well. And then the last step I'm going to do is just take some raffia, fold it in half, and then loop it around into a wing shape. And I'm just going to hot glue that onto the back of my angel's body and just hold that in place for a couple of seconds. And then that's really all you have to do with these little angels. Now you can also add a couple embellishments. I had a couple of gold buttons on hand, so I just put those on my angel's dress. You wouldn't have to do that, obviously, but you can embellish your angel again how you want. You could also use a gold pipe cleaner for a halo on your angel, or piece of twine or something. But here's the angel on our tree. It's cute. It's a nice reminder of the first Christmas. And these are all 5 of our crafts that we made today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you join us tomorrow for day 20 of our countdown to Christmas. Thanks for being here, and if you want future videos, go ahead and hit that red subscribe button so we can stay in touch. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day.